Welcome to tip number 4. It has to do with geography. Consider changing places and experience a catalyst for transformation. I think the most singular significant event in my life in terms of change was moving from England to Japan with my wife. When we were married, we had a deal that if she followed me to England, where I wanted to live for a while and was a dream of mine, then one day I would buy into her dream and move into Japan, where she was born and raised. Her father was the founder of international school, and it was her dream to raise her children in the same school she had been raised in. So we made that decision, and it changed my life. You see, I enjoyed my life in the UK. It was a dream come true. I had a great job, great colleagues, very meaningful life, but I was busy. And I was away from early morning to late at night, meeting after meeting, and often 100 miles on the motorway between meetings. And I'd grown somewhat numb, passionless, and often woke up discouraged and depressed. And so that's when I kind of bought into my wife's dream, when she said, well, it's my turn, let's go to Japan. And she had started a business in England that was related to Japan, so off we went. And it was a decision to put her interests first that allowed me to contemplate this geographic move. For her, it was moving home. For me, it was like I had gone to Mars. It was so different. And I was like a child in a candy shop. Everything was new. And on that first morning, having moved to Japan, and we had visited on a reconnoiter trip, etc., but when we finally made the move into the house, that very first morning, I woke up and I walked to the top of the hill and I scanned the horizon around me, taking it in, studying the fine detail, and my transformation began to take place. And it was in those first few days of being in Japan that I made 2 commitments to myself. Number 1 commitment was, for me, as I scanned the valley below and the mountains in the distance and the city in the other direction, that I wanted to become less dependent on cars and more dependent on self-propelled transportation. In other words, I wanted to get into bicycling. I hadn't really bicycled that much at all. The second decision I made and commitment to myself, which I was able to abide by for a few years, was to throw away the diary. I had been living my life in 15-minute segments, and I needed a very sophisticated hard copy calendar, which can now be done with online or iCalendars and Google Calendars. And I was reliant on that to remember what I was to do each day. So I only wanted to take on the responsibilities that I could remember, and so without writing them down. So that's how I proceeded. Within 6 weeks, I had a bicycle, and I began to explore the city and the countryside. And within a few months later, that's when I envisaged a new dream to cycle the length of Japan during cherry blossom season from Hokkaido to Kyushu, following the cherry blossom, and enjoy the annual flower viewing parties that take place underneath the cherry trees in selected parks in each city. Frances Mays, the writer of Under the Tuscan Sun, wrote that when she moved places, the place changed the rhythm in my brain, and I could no longer write in lines. I was writing in sentences. For her, she had a writer's block, but moving to Italy liberated her writing block. Now, I know what you may be thinking. I see your point, but changing places doesn't change who you are. Well, you're right. Wherever you go, there you are. You take all the baggage with you, the luggage with you, the thought forms, the worldviews, and even many of the relationships. But my point is that a move, new stimuli, new sensory experience, does not so much change you as it ignites parts of you that were lying dormant, dreams that were hidden and long buried, and it allows those to come to the surface again as you are experiencing what basically is a rebirth experience, being bonded to this new world around you. Yes, the answer is within yourself. not in your environment, but a change of place awakens the deep inner self as it confronts you and you enjoy new sensory experiences. So consider changing a place. It may not have to be far, it could be close. One of my favorite books was written by a French soldier, I believe, who was quarantined with sickness for several weeks. And he wrote a best-selling book about 300 or 400 years ago, Adventures in My Bedroom. And he simply decided to look at his bedroom where he was confined with new eyes, that it was a place to explore. So rather than going to the macro, he went to the micro. So moving places can be a great antidote to midlife crisis, any type of crisis. And to those who feel that travel is a form of escape and running away from real life, I have one thing to say to you. Of course it is. But what's wrong with that? Escape can be a good thing. If your life were in some sort of danger, would you not try to escape? Wouldn't you take your family with you? To escape danger is sensible and good. On that premise, if your life is in danger of becoming monochrome, meaningless, and full of regret, why wouldn't you consider taking the risk and making changes and escaping, creating a new world, a new future for yourself? So there are some action points for you. Take a moment to simply answer the questions on the PDF in the next unit, and then we'll see you in the next video.